I teach at Parsons School of Design in Manhattan. Parsons, the new school for design. I teach in the product design program, a course in materials and manufacturing processes, a course in drawing and digital presentation, and a senior studio course. I'm a part-time professor. I teach these 3 courses, and then I do freelance work as well as a designer. Furniture design, store fixture design, small tabletop products, things like that. I just finished a master's degree in the history of decorative arts and design, with the intention of applying that knowledge to deepen the teaching that I do with my students. And one of the benefits of having Parsons associated with the new school is that it adds to the students' ability to develop strong critical thinking skills around design. So not just the way something looks or the way it functions, but why it looks that way, or why should it look that way, or why should we even make it in the first place. So those larger social questions are supported by the work at the new school. It gets involved with questions of the scales of manufacturing, and do we need to create 100,000 of something, or do we create 10,000 of something? And so scales of production, especially when you start to look at things from a global perspective, become really big issues for our students to understand and for us to teach. It's a very different way of teaching. A lot of the traditional design courses really were geared towards mass production. Parsons, although we certainly teach mass production, is open to a lot of scales, from everything from one-off handcraft all the way up through mass-produced objects, and then back around again to what's developing now, this idea of mass-customized objects through new ways of manufacturing. I'm very interested in the first waves of the Industrial Revolution as we approach this new third wave of the Industrial Revolution, the digital manufacturing. The same growing pains occurred in the first waves as we moved from craft production to factory production. How do you deal with scale? How do you not overproduce? And how do you produce objects of the right quality? A lot of what has resulted from mass production is very cheap, disposable objects. In the first waves of the Industrial Revolution, they weren't making those kind of objects. They were still making things that were of a quality that would last. As mass customization sort of developed in the 20th century, the consumer no longer valued the work that went into a product in the same way. And what has really resulted is a lot of product that is disposable and really should not be. Things like furniture, which really should be more of a durable item, is no longer considered that. It's become an object of fashion. And I feel as though one of the risks inherent with the new manufacturing technologies as we take labor out of the equation is the opportunity to cheapen product across the board. And what does that mean? What does that mean on a global scale and socially for our own relationship to the objects around us, which have the potential to add value to our lives beyond just function. They can add meaning, they can add a sense of self-worth and self-identity. And when you create objects that are so cheap, what does that say about our own image of ourselves?
Do you work with local manufacturers?
No. Well, yes and no. There are some printers that I work with. There are some cabinet makers that I work with in Brooklyn. But for the most part, in terms of product itself, that is not, say, site-specific in terms of a house or a hotel. Most things are still that I contract overseas to injection molders, and people are in China.
Overseas?
Overseas, yeah.
Why not here? Why not in New York? Why not in New
You
York?
just can't do it for the price point that the clients are willing to accept. It's just, you can't meet it.
How would you fix that?
Well, what I would love to see is the designers that I am training to consider local manufacturing and the opportunities that these new technologies bring, like CAD/CAM manufacturing and CNC routing, to create the base product that then can be manipulated and made special through other means, not necessarily hand, but handcraft on top of these products. So it can actually cheapen take the expense of local manufacturing, which is mainly in the labor, and lower that, but not eliminate the labor of local manufacturing so that these businesses can stay in business, stay local, strengthen the communities. There are over 6,000 manufacturers still in New York with something like 80,000 employees. They're here.
But you don't have any contacts with them.
I'm trying to develop them, which is one of the reasons why I'm participating in the summit, actually. It's coming back to life in many ways. Not that it really left, but there's a lot of small entrepreneurs out there, and connecting them, which is what we do as designers, connecting these entrepreneurial manufacturers with clients and a certain amount of systems thinking that designers specialize in terms of retail and transportation and packaging and all the pieces that go along with it. That's what we do as designers. So I feel as if it's part of our role, Parsons being here in New York City, to really make those links between recent graduate designers and the manufacturers so that they can all go out and create these wonderful entrepreneurial systems. I think that the manufacturing I'm talking about, which are shop-size manufacturing that I'm interested in, are not looking to make 100,000 pieces of a product. I think that they're looking to make a profit and enjoy the work that they're doing, and I think that our students can help that happen.